वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिकी। ॐ ज्ञानातिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। चैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतः पदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवंश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथं वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले प्रिय श्री गिरिराजाय स्वामिने सुभक्ता नरराज बिहारी नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादिपाश्चात्यादेशतारिणे। मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणम्। Okay, so this is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 14, the Forest of Enjoyment. What is this Forest of Enjoyment? You remember what it is? Forest samsara. Okay? This material world where we are trying to enjoy. So who are those who live in this world and what do they do? Right? So we are on text 30. So definitely it's not a chapter I would like to read again. Read it once, enough. It's not the rasa of Krishna. So text 30. Yada pakhandi bhiratma vanchitesteru vanchito brahmakulam samavasamstesham shilam upanayanadi shrautasmarta karmanushta Nena bhagavato yagya purushasyaradhanam eva tad arochayam shudra kulam bhajate nikamachare shudhito yasya mithuni bhava kutumba bharanam yatha vanara jatehe. At least we are hearing monkeys here. Vanara jatehe, the jat of Bandar. The pseudo Swamis, yogis and incarnations, who do not believe in the Supreme Person Godhead are known as Pashandis. They themselves are fallen and cheated because they do not follow the real path of spiritual advancement. And whoever goes to them is certainly cheated in his turn. When one is thus cheated, he sometimes takes shelter of the real followers of Vedic principles. Brahmanas or those in Krishna consciousness, who teach everyone how to worship the Supreme Person Godhead according to the Vedic rituals. However, being unable to stick to these principles, these rascals again fall down and take shelter among Shudras, who are very expert in making arrangements for sex indulgence. Sex is very prominent among animals like monkeys, and such people are enlivened by sex, may be called descendant of monkeys. Now that purport, Prabhupada will give some information that I learned by heart, and now I'm finding it here. So you can make a note of this. We always preach about this because in small books Prabhupada has spoken about all this, but in the Bhagavatam here Prabhupada is giving the details. Purport. By fulfilling the process of evolution from the aquatics to the animal platform, a living entity eventually reaches the human form. So remember this 84 lakh species of life. So the jeev is entering and moving in one species of life to the next. So he moved from aquatics to animal, and then he reached human life. How he reached human life, what was he in previous birth? Prabhupada gives. The three modes of material nature are always working in the evolutionary process. Those who come to the human form through the quality of Sattva Gun were cows in their last animal incarnation. Alright? You heard that before, right?
Yes.
Those who come to the human form through the quality of Rajogun were lions in their last animal incarnation. So, Leo people. Right? Leo people, they are like from Singh, right? they become the kingly, right? And those who come to the human form through the quality of Tamogun were monkeys in their last animal incarnation. In this age, those who come to the monkey species are considered by modern anthropologists like Darwin to be descendants of monkeys. We receive information herein that those who are simply interested in sex are actually no better than monkeys. Monkeys are very expert in sexual enjoyment, and sometimes sex glands are taken from monkeys and placed in the human body, so that a human being can enjoy sex in old age. In this way, modern civilization has advanced. Many monkeys in India were caught and sent to Europe so that their sex glands could serve as replacements for those of old people. Those who actually descend from the monkeys are interested in expanding the aristocratic families through sex. In the Veda, there are also certain ceremonies specially meant for sexual improvement and promotion to higher planetary systems. where the demigods are enjoying sex. The demigods are also very much inclined towards sex because that is the basic principle of material enjoyment. First of all, the conditioned soul is cheated by so-called swamis, yogis and incarnations when he approaches them to be relieved of material miseries. When the conditioned soul is not satisfied with them, he comes to devotees and pure brahmanas who try to elevate him for final liberation from material bondage. However, the unscrupulous conditioned soul cannot rigidly follow the principles prohibiting illicit sex, intoxication, gambling and meat eating. Thus he falls down and takes shelter of people who are like monkeys. In the Krishna consciousness movement, these monkey disciples, see Prabhupada is in his own movement, right? Prabhupada is very open in his purport. He speaks about his disciples, what they are doing. So in the Krishna consciousness movement, these monkey disciples, so Prabhupada is calling his disciples monkeys, okay? Being unable to follow the strict regulative principles, sometimes fall down and try to form societies based on sex. This is proof that such people are descendants of monkeys, as confirmed by Darwin. In this verse, it is therefore clearly said, Yatha Varna Jatihe. So, what Prabhupada is saying here, he formed this movement, ISKCON, right? And so many people come. And before they came here, they were already in so many so-called organizations. This guru, that guru, they got cheated. And then, when he realized that he has been cheated, then he said, okay, here Prabhupada is genuine, right? His movement is genuine. So they come, they join. But what happened? Being unable to stick to these principles. So Prabhupada is teaching the proper way. Being unable to stick to these principles, these rascals again fall down. They again fall down, and Prabhupada is saying, what do? They make their own societies. So he said, yeah, he was an ISKCON devotee. So many people like this. So that's why when you can't figure them out because they speak like Prabhupada speaks. Right? But what they do, they take his teachings and then they put their own teaching and make their own society. Their own brand of society. And some of them become very well known. Very well known. And people are attracted. What's the difference between your organization and this organization? And it looks very genuine because the root is from the teachings of Prabhupada. There was one person, you can't believe it. I think in Mauritius, what he's done, he took Prabhupada's book. I think Perfect Question, Perfect Answers. He took that book. He removed Prabhupada's name. He removed that other person's name. He put his name and he put that somebody.
What did this Swami? This Swami he has made very nice temples in Delhi also and beautiful temples here. Swami Narayan. What they Guruma used to say, they used that name used to come so far. He did the same thing. Pramukh Swami. He did the same thing. I used to say, used to come to your place. Same thing he did. Total Gujarati community. He wrote his name. And no ladies are allowed. So this is what he did. Same thing what you're saying. He just did for one. But this man did so many. And
he made his own temple.
He's made such a beautiful temple in New Jersey. It's better than Taj Mahal. Even in New Delhi.
Yeah, so many. So here, see this in the pages of Bhagavatam. So they come, so they are fed up with being cheated here and there. So finally, what do they do? They come to the real Vedic principle, the real followers. But they are unable to stick to their principles and they again fall down. But Prabhupada is saying, in the Krishna consciousness movement, these monkey disciples, right, being unable to follow the strict regulative principles, sometimes fall down and try to form societies based on sex.
Many times, most of the times, what's happening, ladies are taking initiation, Brahmin initiation. The husband is not there. So many ladies are facing the problem.
Yeah.
They come from the last question.
Oh. Well, see, so that the spiritual master has to deal with this. Who is giving Diksha? I can't answer this question, because who is taking responsibility? I know my Guru Maharaj, he meet the husband, take permission from them, then he give Diksha. Yeah, he.
My husband asked his permission.
Yeah. He doesn't. So.
And even asked me, I'm going to change her name. Is it okay with you? Even asked.
No, so see, this is something because now, I don't know what happened now, this Brahman Diksha. Yeah, anyway, it's become a hot topic now, the Brahman Diksha, right? So that's something that, frankly speaking, I can't answer, because for me, I'm only teaching, what's there in the book, the principle, but the application and responsibility, because who's taking responsibility is the person initiating. Whether he wants to take a risk, right? Because they are mercy, and now he doesn't want. That's between, who's initiating and the disciple. So that question has to be asked by the devotees, the Guru who has given Diksha. How to handle all this? I have no answer to this. Yeah. So, all right. Now, so text 31. So this is about monkeys. Yatha Vanara Jatehe, the descendants of monkeys. And they're very intelligent, right? Darwin is intelligent. He's very intelligent. Right? But so the mode of ignorance, they're very intelligent, like Darwin. That's the whole thing, If they were fools, nobody will look at them. But here they're so intelligent that they are able to attract people and make their own societies. You understand? That's how dangerous they are. Text 31. Tathrapi naravarodha sverena viharanati kripana buddhiranyunya mukha nirikshana gramya karmaneva vismrita kalavadhi. Right.
Hare Krishna. Translation. In this way, the descendants of the monkeys intermingled with each other, and they are generally known as Sudras. Without hesitating, they live and move freely, not knowing the goal of life. They are captivated simply by seeing the faces of one another, which remind them of sense gratification. They are always engaged in material activities known as Gramya Karma, and they work hard for material benefit. Thus, they forget completely that one day their small lifespans will be finished and they will be degraded in the evolutionary cycle. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Materialistic people are sometimes called Sudras or descendants of monkeys due to their monkey-like intelligence. They do not care to know how the evolutionary process is taking place, nor are they eager to know what will happen after they finish their small human lifespan. This is the attitude of Sudras. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission, this Krishna consciousness movement, is trying to elevate Sudras to the Brahmana platform so that they will know the real goal of life. Unfortunately, being overly attached to sense gratification, materialists are not serious in helping this movement. Instead, some of them try to suppress it. Thus, it is the business of monkeys to disturb the activities of the Brahmanas. The descendants of monkeys completely forget that they have to die, and they are very proud of scientific knowledge and the progress of material civilization. The word Gramya Karmana indicates activities meant only for the improvement of bodily comforts. Presently, all human society is engaged in improving economic conditions and bodily comforts. People are not interested in knowing what is going to happen after death, nor do they believe in the transmigration of the soul. When one scientifically studies the evolutionary theory, one can understand that human life is a junction where one may take the path of promotion or degradation. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 9.25, Yanti Deva Vrata Devan Pitran Yanti Pitruvrataha Bhutani Yanti Bhutejya Yanti Mad Yajnanopi Mam. Those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. Those who worship ancestors go to the ancestors, and those who worship me will live with me. In this life, we have to prepare ourselves for promotion to the next life. Those who are in the mode of Rajoguna are generally interested in being promoted to the heavenly planets. Some unknowingly are degraded to lower animal forms. Those in the mode of goodness can engage in devotional service, and after that they can return home back to Godhead. Yanti mad yajino pi mam. That is the real purpose of human life. This Krishna consciousness movement is trying to bring intelligent human beings to the platform of devotional service. Instead of wasting time trying to attain a better position in material life, one should simply endeavor to return home back to Godhead. Then all problems will be solved. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.17, Shrunvatam sva katha Krishna punya shravana kirtanah hridaya antahastho hi abhadrani vidhunoti suhita satam. See Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma Supersoul in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotees, cleans the desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee, who relishes his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. One simply has to follow the regulative principles, act like a Brahmana, chant the Hare Krishna mantra, and read Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. In this way, one purifies himself of the baser material modes, Tamogun and Rajogun, and becoming freed from the greed of these modes can attain complete peace of mind. In this way, one can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead and one's relationship with Him, and thus be promoted to the highest perfection. Siddhim Paramam Gataha. Hare Krishna.
So here Prabhupada is explaining that it is very dangerous, this Gramya Karma, right? So this in Kali Yuga, so that's why this idea of being descendant of monkeys is so prominent. It's taught in all schools, right? we are coming from monkeys. So the Shudras. Okay. So Prabhupada is explaining that these people, they're actually Shudras. So what is the interest of Shudras? Money. They're always anxious that I may be poor. So that's why the entire world is running after economic development, right? They cannot understand that a Brahmana can live without money, right? Confident that they are taken care by the Supreme Lord and that the goal of life is to attain self-realization. So what are they doing? Prabhupada is explaining. They're only after improving their material economic conditions. That's the only thing they are doing. So, when one scientifically studies the evolutionary theory, one can understand that human life is a junction where one can take the path of promotion or degradation. So, either we go up to the heavenly planets, or we go down to hell, or we go to the ghost and spirit, to the Pitri Lok, or we can go to Krishna. So here Prabhupada is saying that the real purpose of life is to go back home, back to Godhead. Now here this is for us. The previous section that is criticizing, the materialists, the Shudras. And here this last section is for us. So we read it again. This Krishna consciousness movement is trying to bring intelligent human beings to the platform of devotional service. Alright? See, meaning those who are monkey-like, they're not intelligent. We already said what they are doing. They are using the intelligence, their monkey-like intelligence. So what do? How to improve their material standards. What is your standard of living? When I was a child, I never heard this standard of living. Gradually, I started growing up. It's actually completely Western. So what is your standard of living? Entirely Western. So now you start counting, how many this you have, how many that you have. Because Brahminical society is measured in a different way. So here Prabhupada is saying, this Krishna consciousness movement is trying to bring intelligent human beings to the platform of devotional service. Instead of wasting time trying to attain a better position in material life, one should simply endeavor to return home, back to Godhead. Then all problems will be solved. So we are in so much anxiety that I'm poor, or I can become poorer and poorer. Everybody is afraid that maybe I will lose my job, right? I don't want to go again through the whole story of what we've been describing for so many years. Everybody knows it. So here Prabhupada is saying, if you have come to the Krishna consciousness movement, stay focused on only one thing only. Do devotional service. That's it. And what do you do in devotional service? Shrinvatam Swakatha Krishna. Read Shrimad Bhagavatam, right? Spend time reading Shrimad Bhagavatam. Because what will Bhagavatam do? Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor. So see, this is very important. The benefactor of the truthful devotee. Actually, my Guru Maharaj explained this so well, so it just got stuck in my mind. Vidhunoti Suhrit. What is the meaning of Suhrit? Yeah, well wishes, Suhrit. But that Supreme Lord, the Paramatma within the heart, he's Suhrit of who? Of who? Satam. Alright? What is the meaning of Satam? Is it just devotees? Just say adjective is given there.
Truthful devotee.
Truthful devotee. We already read about the untruthful devotees. Right? They become monkeys. So they come, they study, and then they say, yes, it's very nice, and then they come and they take all the gems, right? They take all the teachings and then they go and they start their own society, right? So what happened? They remain monkeys, or they become lower than monkeys. So the effect of hearing Bhagavad Katha takes place only in the heart of those who are truthful, sincere, serious. Read Andastohya Bhadrani. See, the thing is that since lifetime we are conditioned by so many different types of desires, right? So this is not a fault, right? If I say that my cloth is dirty but I'm washing it, it's good, right? Meaning it's expected that it will become clean. But if I don't make any effort to wash and I just sit, alright? I don't make any effort. So Krishna will help us wash our clothes. Alright? Being dirty is not really the problem. The problem is that sincerity in purpose, and therefore Krishna cannot help us. He'll only go on watching us. That's what he will do, go on watching us. What to do? How many janam, right? He's sitting and watching us. Remember the two birds, right? Says in a tree. Two birds are sitting since time immemorial. That bird is sitting and watching very patiently. But when we become sincere, he'll start to help us. So Sri Krishna, the personal Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor, Surit, of the truthful devotee, cleanses. So what does he do? Cleanses the heart from material enjoyment, from the heart of the devotee who relishes his messages. Not that when you pick up Bhagavatam, he runs away. Right? Or who doesn't read Bhagavatam. Right? They have Bhagavatam but they don't read. They have Bhagavad Gita, they don't read. You know, one devotee, I met her yesterday or this morning, she told me how, and they're initiated also. He told me for years and years she has a book in the home they never pick up, they don't read. And by good luck, we put up our poster, you know, our small institute, right? Just see how much work. How much work. We put up our poster. They kept on looking at this poster for days and weeks. We even had to cancel one time because we were not getting the student. Re-put the poster. She joined with her husband for the course. And now she's shocked. They're initiated devotees. Bhakti Shastri graduates. So you can imagine how much our own devotees are not reading the books. They're sentimental. Alright? I couldn't believe it. They're good people, pious people. They got initiation also. She told me the books are sitting there at home. How much work this organization has to do, right? How much we're investing to the point that we get so discouraged we just close down the whole thing. And here come this couple and said, I didn't know. She's shocked. Now they're sitting in the class, this deity worship course. She's shocked. So I don't know what is going on in the Hare Krishna movement. This is one thing, who are taking the pain, we are crying doing this work. We are actually crying. Like Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said, it takes I don't know how many gallons of blood to make one devotee. So even after Diksha, still you have to spend so many gallons of blood. What's this? I can't understand this. So our preaching is not going on properly. They don't know. And how much Krishna must be crying, right? How much he must be crying. So much he's investing the time, right? We come so close. Yeah.
Krishna, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he brings his entire entourage, everything.
Coming so close. I don't know whether it's Shivram Swami or I don't know who I read. He said the most painful thing for a spiritual master to see the disciple come right to the door of Vaikuntha and turning back. Anyway, this is a big turn, but here I'm saying somebody, who is Dikshit, who have studied the entire Bhakti Shastri, didn't think this is important and not reading the book. You feel like crying, right? One simply, Prabhupada is pleading with us. I just heard my Guru Maharaj this morning, I think he's giving a lecture in Dallas. He's saying Prabhupada took so much pain to write these books. Please read them. Who is he talking to? Devotees. Right? Devotees. I think it was a Bhagavatam class or something. Devotees. Please don't be sentimental. Don't be sentimental. When you're in trouble, then you go, you pray to Krishna. Or when you feel like you drop in. Right? One simply has to follow the regulative principles, act like a Brahmana. So Prabhupada is saying, act like a Brahmana, not like a Shudra. Right? Chant the Hare Krishna mantra and read Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. In this way, one purifies himself of the baser material moods, Tamogun and Rajogun, and becomes freed from the greed. My God! And becomes freed from the greed of these modes. The greed, I thought grip. The grip of the greed. My God, Prabhupada is always adding one small word, which you never saw before. Right? Let me read it again. We read it, but I didn't notice it. In this way, one becomes purified. One purifies himself of the baser material modes, Tamogun and Rajogun, and becomes freed from the greed of these modes, can attain complete peace of mind. In this way, one can understand the Supreme Person Godhead and one's relationship with Him, and thus be promoted to the highest perfection. Siddhim paramam gataha. So now we understand that these gunas, they make us greedy for what? Yeah, greedy for what? Desires for what? For material sense gratification. The verse says, Gramya karma. Gramya karma. So sense gratification, and what do? They look at each other's face and they become more and more attracted for sense gratification. And they remind each other that your purpose of life is sense gratification. Right? And therefore they avoid the society of devotees. Right? That's what they do. Text 32. Kvachit rumvad ehi karteshu griheshu ramsyan yatha vanara sutta dara vatsalo vyavayokshanaha. Oh my God, the monkey story is not over. Just as a monkey jumps from one tree to another, the conditioned soul jumps from one body to another. As the monkey is ultimately captured by the hunter and is unable to get out of captivity, the conditioned soul, being captivated by momentary sex pleasure, becomes attached to different types of bodies and is engaged in family life. Family life affords the conditioned soul a festival of momentary sex pleasure, and thus he is completely unable to get out of the material clutches. As purport, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 11.9.29, Vishaya khallu sarvatah syat. Bodily necessities, eating, sleeping, mating and defending, are all very easily available in any form of life. It is stated here that the Vanara monkey is very much attracted to sex. Each monkey keeps at least 24 wives, and he jumps from one tree to another to capture the female monkeys. Thus, he immediately engages in sexual intercourse. In this way, the monkey's business is to jump from one tree to another and enjoy sex with his wives. The conditioned soul is doing the same thing, transmigrating from one body to another and engaging in sex. He thus completely forgets how to become free from the clutches of material engagement. Sometimes the monkey is captured by a hunter who sells its body to doctors so that its glands can be removed for the benefit of another monkey. All this is going on in the name of economic development and improved sex life, meaning artha and kama. Alright, text 33. Evam advanya varundhano mrityu gaja bhayat tamasi giri kandara praye. In this world, when the conditioned soul forgets his relationship with the Supreme Person Godhead and does not care for Krishna consciousness, he simply engages in different types of mischievous and sinful activities. He is then subjected to the threefold miseries, and out of fear of the elephant of death, he falls into the darkness found in a mountain cave. Purport: everyone is afraid of death, and however strong a materialistic person may be, when there is disease and old age, one must certainly accept death notice. So when disease is coming more and more frequent and we can't recover from it, it means old age is coming more and more. And Prabhupada says that what is this death? He says disease overcomers. So, meaning all of us, many of us, not all, many of us already received the notice for death, right? The conditioned soul becomes very morose to receive the notice of death. His fear is compared to the fear of experience upon entering a dark mountain cave, and death is compared to a great elephant. See, death is actually darkness, because you're going to sleep for a very, very long time. Like you disappear and you don't know in which hole you have disappeared and where you're going to wake up. And when you wake up, you forget everything, right? Already, like I think myself, I start thinking, I forget the words. See, English is not my language, right? I start forgetting the words. I'm thinking, I don't know whether one day I'll be able to continue to speak. In old age, if I forget the words, even how to spell, right? It's not a joke. Yeah, forget. So meaning that when you go back to zero, you go back to zero, you again have to learn speaking, right? Go to school, that's why you go to school. Again pick up the words. right? Text 34. Kvachit chitta vatyenika devika bhotika jnanam dukkhanam pratinivarena kalpo duranta vishaya vishana aste. The conditioned soul suffers many miserable bodily conditions, such as being affected by severe cold and strong winds, vata. He also suffers due to the activities of other living beings and due to natural disturbances. When he is unable to counteract them and he has to remain in a miserable condition, he naturally becomes very morose because he wants to enjoy material facilities. So see, when we make a program for sense enjoyment, there's no end to it. And we just read in the see, this desire for sense enjoyment is so deep rooted. It's so contaminating that you can engage in different types of mischievous and sinful activities. I just heard, Prabhupada's lecture today. So he was speaking about how in Varnashram Dharma there is a system of prayaschitta, right? So then, he just made a sentence that in the any community, so if it so happened that somebody commits a sinful activity, then so he will go to a Bhattacharya, and that Bhattacharya will give him a means by which he can counteract the sinful activities. And for me, I started thinking, so meaning even in Vedic society, right, we become prone to break the regulatory principles, or we do some type of sinful activities. But in civilized societies, you try to atone for it. Here, this bandar, what do? They don't care. They don't care. They are so fallen, they're so mischievous. They commit sinful activities and they don't care about the reaction, but then the laws of karma is always chasing behind. We read somewhere, I don't know, front or maybe later, how that lion of your karma, or the lion, whatever it is, lion or elephant, will always be behind you. You can't escape. You can't escape. I had another lecture, Prabhupada is speaking about, bottleneck. What is a bottleneck? Meaning then there is a huge traffic, right? And then everything gets jammed. Bottleneck. Why is it overpopulation in this material world? Bottleneck. Meaning you're not moving forward. Right? So the population on earth, they're supposed to move forward. We read earlier, right? Yanti Deva, Vrata Deva, and some can go up to the heavenly planet, right? Some can go to Pitralok, right? Others will go to ghosts, right? Some will go back home, back to Godhead. But what is happening right now? Bottleneck, where everybody is materialistic. And Prabhupada is saying, even his disciples become monkeys again. So we have to be extremely careful. Okay. So he becomes very morose because he wants to enjoy material facilities. I don't know how much you can eat, how much you can dress. God, whether this. Unfortunately, you keep on clicking on YouTube and you came to this woman, she had 5,000 saris or something. Saris? Is it true? Is it true? True? My God! 5,000 saris! What do they do with all this?
You don't Amma's Amma,
Hmm.
she never repeats her son. No?
You know, see,
She never repeats her son.
yeah, see, I heard Prabhupada explain one thing. I mean, just see, speak of accumulation of wealth unnecessary. See, what is a Brahmana? All right? A Brahmana receives and gives. And because they give, they always receive. Always receive. You give, it comes back. You give, it comes back. So Prabhupada explaining, he said that in his childhood or his life, he says every month there is a festival, right? Every month there is a festival and every month there is new sari. All right? That's what he said. So they will wear the sari and immediately they are giving to whoever is there in the household. They are maintaining people, right? So he said the sari is new and cheap also. Immediately it is, I've seen this, was it I always give because my mother gave. And I have seen her from childhood, I have seen, She gives. That's how been just part of my nature. We get, we give. And then I heard Prabhupada saying it. So he says, new, born only once and giving. Never accumulating. For me, every 6 months or 1 year, I open everything. What is extra? Give. Never accumulate. Okay, so here, what do we want? When he is unable to counteract them and has to remain in a miserable condition, he naturally becomes very morose because he wants to enjoy material facilities. Text 35. Kvachin mitho vyavaharan yatkinchid dhanam upayati vita sathena. Sometimes conditioned soul exchange money. But in due course of time, enmity arises because of cheating. Although there may be tiny profit, the conditioned soul cease to be friends and become enemies. One devotee told me, among devotees never do business. So you become enemies. And here it is. Right? Don't do business among devotees. Srimad Bhagavatam stated 5.58. Pumsam sriya mithuni bhavanetam dayor mitho ridaya granthi mahuhu atto griha chetra sutapta vittet janasya mohoyam aham mameti. Finally, Prabhupada go on with the monkey-like. The monkey-like conditioned soul first becomes attached to sex. And when intercourse actually takes place, becomes more attached. He then requires some material comforts, apartment, house, food, friends, wealth, and so on. In order to acquire these things, he has to cheat others. And this creates enmity even among the most intimate friends. See? Sometimes this enmity is created between the conditioned soul and the father or spiritual master. My God, Prabhupada must have seen a lot in his life, right? Unless one is firmly fixed in the regulative principles, one may perform mischievous acts even if one is a member of the Krishna consciousness movement. See what Prabhupada is writing? Even being a member of the Krishna consciousness movement, you can perform mischievous acts. Friends, intimate friends become enemies. What for? Because of money. We therefore advise our disciples to strictly follow the regulative principles. Otherwise, the most important movement for the upliftment of humanity will be hampered due to dissension among its members. Those who are serious about pushing forward this Krishna consciousness movement should remember this and strictly follow the regulative principles so that their minds will not be disturbed. So it's like somehow you get in your head, in your mind that this one cheated me, that one cheated me, or whatever it is. Then relationships are broken and your whole consciousness comes down. Text 36. Kvachit shina dhana shaya sana sanadya pa bhoga vinihu yavat aprati labdha manoratha pagata dane vasita matistatastato vamanadini janad abhila bhate. Sometimes having no money, the conditioned soul doesn't get sufficient accommodations. Sometimes he doesn't even have a place to sit, nor does he have the other necessities. In other words, he falls into scarcity. And at that time, when he's unable to secure the necessities by fair means, he decides to see the property of others unfairly. When he cannot get the things he wants, he simply receives insults from others and thus becomes very morose. It is said that necessity knows no law. When the conditioned soul needs money to acquire life's bare necessities, he adopts any means. He begs, borrows, or steals. Instead of receiving these things, he is insulted and chastised. Unless one is very well organized, one cannot accumulate riches by unfair means. Even if one acquires riches by unfair means, he cannot avoid punishment and insult from the government or the general populace. There are many instances of important people's embezzling money, getting caught and being put in prison. One may be able to avoid the punishment of prison, but one cannot avoid the punishment of the Supreme Person Godhead, who works through the agency of material nature. This is described in Bhagavad Gita 7.14. Devi Esha Guna Mai Mama Maya Duratyaya. Nature is very cruel. She doesn't excuse anyone. When people do not care for nature, they commit all kinds of sinful activities and consequently they have to suffer. Like this one lady, she was an astrologer. So she told me that how, like when some calamity happened, in the house, something, so then they go and trace. They trace, like history, father, mother, whatever, in the horoscope, they trace. So I said, but how come all this, how do you do all this? So he gave me an example. So he said that one man, he cheated somebody from this verse. He cheated somebody. He didn't pay him for land or something like that. Didn't pay him. And he died. All right, he didn't. So meaning he already in his name he has debt. He died with debt. And the other person is dying also, remembering that you didn't pay me. So what happened? That person took birth in the home. This is how cruel Prabhupada is saying. Nature is very cruel. That person took birth in the home of the debtor, and as a child, that child got cancer. That child got cancer. All right. So everything is going in curing that child, extracting what you owe. My God. So Priya Prabhupada is explaining. So unless one is very well organized, see, the point is that organization is important. Wealth is destined. All right, it's destined. You're born with your wealth. Each and everybody is born with their own wealth. The only thing you have to do in this life is organize yourself. Right? How do you organize yourself? Meaning you should know 50% is for donation. Right? Rup Goswami gave us 50% is for donation. What is that donation? It's your investment. Right? It's your investment for your future. Alright? And that other 50%, it is for your necessities. And the other 25% divided into two. 25% is for your necessities, then 25% is for emergencies. And because you have invested 50%, you will never be less. You always have sufficient to live. Anyway, we've discussed that previously in other chapters of Bhagavatam. But here's coming again, unless one is very well organized. So what happened? So when greed starts coming, then you start taking, even though like you just say, this one is wealthy, but it's not sufficient. More and more you go on accumulating, capturing from this way, that way. Right? Why you only want to show the world that you're God? You're richer than the richest. That's all. Okay, let's see. I don't know if we can complete it. We won't complete. We can't complete. We'll just do a few more. Okay? 37. So when people do not care for nature, they commit all kinds of sinful activities because they think they're free. Right? And consequently, they have to suffer. So the population of Kali Yuga, they are very unfortunate, right? Most unfortunate, disturbed, diseased, angry, lusty, thieves, right? Like what do we read? What do we read in Mahabharata? Also come that in Kali Yuga, so many people will work, they can't even feed one child, right? Whereas one person was working and feeding 100 people, now 100 people will work, they can't feed one child. Text 37. Evam vitavyati sangha vivriddha vairanu bandhupi purva vasanhaya mitha udvahatya thapavahati. All the people may be enemies. In order to fulfill their desires again and again, they sometimes get married. Oh my God, so you're marrying your enemy. Other people may be enemies. In order to fulfill their desires again and again, they sometimes get married. Unfortunately, these marriages do not last very long, and the people involved are separated again by divorce or other means. I don't know how Prabhupada got this translation. Okay, Uppavahati. They give up the marriage. They give up the marriage or they get a divorce. Uppavahati. Purport. As stated previously, every conditioned soul has a propensity to cheat even in marriage. Now, cheating business, now before I used to hear from the women, now I'm hearing from the men. It's so risky to marry. You marry, then your wealth is gone. Right? It's a very good business, right? You enter partnership with somebody, right? And then you say, I don't want to live with you anymore. So now give me my alimony because you are supposed to maintain me, So you give me a house, you give me so much money, then they fight in court. Legally, right? Their enemies getting married. This is what it's saying here. Other people may be enemies. So they make contract, right? What type of marriage is this? What is real marriage, How it is done. In order to fulfill their desires again and again, they sometimes get married and boom. And it's such an illusion, they get attracted to each other, right? For only 6 months. Only 6 months, they fall in that trap. And then when it's all over, they realize that I've married a man or a woman. Okay, now before, another part of the story now, the man of stealing the money of the women is also happening. Anyway, I don't want to tell all the stories I hear. Unfortunately, we live in a public place, so public come and tell us what's going on, right? For the time being, they come and ask for our advice. If they will come and sit in Bhagavatam class, they will learn, right? They don't want, when we put up our advertisement, come and learn, no. When everything is happening, then Mataji, what should I do? Should I say divorce? Then you take our name, say divorce, on your advice we die. Right? So here's being, oh God, this is samsara, the forest of enjoyment. For the time being, everywhere in this material world, one conditioned soul is envious of another. So it's so sad to see husband and wife becoming enemies. Very, very sad. Very, very sad. I'm so fortunate I didn't see that in my family. So fortunate. You know? Everywhere in this material world, one conditioned soul is envious of another. For the time being, people may remain friends, but eventually they become enemies again and fight over money. Sometimes they marry and then separate by divorce or other means. On the whole, unity is never permanent. Due to the cheating propensity, both parties always remain envious. Just see what Prabhupada is writing here. Even in Krishna consciousness, separation and enmity take place due to the prominence of material propensities. Right? So if we allow material consciousness to enter our relationships, this is what we are going to do. We fight over money and we separate. Right? And Prabhupada is saying, even in Krishna consciousness. So see, Prabhupada, only 11 years. This is an extremely short time. And Prabhupada is writing this 5th canto. When this Chaitanya Charitamrita was being published, this was still missing, this is still pending. What he has put here, meaning within 5 years or so, Prabhupada has already seen all this even in his own movement. For him to write something like this. Even in Krishna consciousness, meaning that people are coming with sincerity and then become insincere. Right? And they are fighting over money and separating. Oh my God. Anyway, only a great deva can come in this material world, right? A super deva, not even an ordinary deva, right? Come and try to pick us up from all this kachara, right? Text 38. Itasmi samsara dhvani nana klesho pasarga badhita apana vipano yatra yastamuha vavetarastatara vishrejya jatam upadaya shochahan muhyan bibhyad vibadhan krandhan samsrishyan gayan nahyamanaha sadhu vajito naiva vartate dhyapi yata arabdha esha naro loka sartho yam advadnaha param upadishanti. The path of this material world is full of material miseries. We've heard sufficient about it. Alright? And various troubles disturb the conditioned soul. Sometimes he loses and sometimes he gains. In either case, the path is full of danger. Sometimes the conditioned soul is separated from his father by death or other circumstances. Leaving him aside, he gradually becomes attached to others, such as his children. So, he was very attached to the father, but the father is gone. So, gradually he gave up that relationship. He said, anyway, after some time you just forget and leave. So what do? Then you pour all your attention to your children. In this way, the conditioned soul is sometimes illusioned and afraid. Sometimes he cries loudly out of fear. Sometimes he's happy maintaining his family. And sometimes he's overjoyed and sings melodiously. Oh my God! He sings melodiously. In this way, he becomes entangled and forgets his separation from the Supreme Person Godhead since time immemorial. Thus, he traverses the dangerous path of material existence, and on this path, he is not at all happy. Those who are self-realized simply take shelter of the Supreme Person Godhead in order to get out of this dangerous material existence. Without accepting the devotional path, one cannot get out of the clutches of material existence. The conclusion is that no one can be happy in material life. One must take to Krishna consciousness. But we already found what's happening even in Krishna consciousness, meaning they are not following properly. Oh my God, we have to examine ourselves, right? Am I following properly? See, everything being very openly said, right? By purport, by thoroughly analyzing the materialistic way of life, any sane man can understand that there is not the least happiness in this world. However, due to continuing on the path of danger from time immemorial and not associating with saintly persons, the conditioned soul under illusion wants to enjoy this material world. Material energy sometimes gives him a chance at so-called happiness, but the conditioned soul is perpetually being punished by material nature. It is therefore said, Dandya jane raja yen nadite chubaya. Chubaya, poking, like chubaya means biting, right? Materialistic life means continuous unhappiness, but sometimes he accepts happiness as it appears between the gaps. There is misery from beginning till end. There's misery, but in between there is some happiness, and say, I'm happy. How are you? Fine. Happy. Sometimes he sings melodiously and he's dancing, right? Oh my God, Bhagavatam verse is speaking like that. Sometimes a condemned person is submerged in water and hauled out. Actually, all of this is meant for punishment. But he feels a little comfort, yes, aram, when he is taken out of the water. This is the situation with a conditioned soul. All the Shastras therefore advise that one associate with devotees and saintly people. Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra hai kai, love matra sadhu sange sarva siddhi hai. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 22.54. Even by a little association with devotees, the conditioned soul can get out of this miserable material condition. This Krishna consciousness movement is therefore trying, just see what Prabhupada is saying, is therefore trying to give everyone a chance to associate with saintly people. Therefore, all the members of this Krishna consciousness society must themselves be perfect sadhus in order to give a chance to fallen conditioned souls. This is the best humanitarian work. So Prabhupada, he's actually like pleading. We heard that before. He's saying, if you are sadhus, you can help the world. If you want to do humanitarian work, then you yourself be proper sadhus. If you will misbehave, right, what hope will there for the world? Right? The fallen conditioned soul. Therefore, all the members of this Krishna consciousness society must themselves be perfect sadhus in order to give a chance to fallen conditioned souls. This is the best humanitarian work. We heard somewhere as Prabhupada saying, if you fight, sometimes I have seen this, devotees fight, and we are dealing with a public organization, and when devotees fight, they cause so much, in order to be mischievous to each other, they bring down the service of the organization, right? Like Prabhupada used to say, The demons cannot attack Krishna consciousness movement. It is the devotees inside themselves. This is what happened to India. Isn't it? Everybody knows the history, right? Nobody could penetrate India. It's only when inside, right, they betrayed each other, right? Then they opened the door and others could come, right? So this is the history of India. And here Prabhupada is saying, if the devotees, they don't behave properly, if they don't forgive each other, if they don't fight over money, right? If they marry properly, they don't get into divorce and all this stuff, right? Then you can do the best humanitarian work, right? See, what's the big deal in tolerating little bit? Yes, I don't like this man's face or that woman's face, right? I do so many things. Can't we tolerate for one lifetime? Because that one lifetime will bring me back home, back to Godhead. Then you won't ever have to see all this thing, this samsara, right? So, this Brahmana qualities, oh God, qualities of Brahmana, Samo, Damas, Tapa, Socham, right? This is mind and sense control. Samo, Damas, Tapa, Socham, basic, very basic. What is a Brahmana? Ability to tolerate, right? Like we are reading again and again that a Vaishnava is higher than a Brahmana. So meaning that a Vaishnava should have the basic quality of a Brahmana. Samo, Damas, Tapa, Socham. This is very basic. Then tolerance, Shantin, Arjavam, right? Able to tolerate. So, anyway, poor Prabhupada, even though he's investing, I'm crying myself, we are putting in so much energy, so let's respond. What to speak of him? Heard one lecture, Prabhupada saying, so 5 years, I think he has preached for 5 years, I heard him saying. He says, and how many people have joined? 3,000. Can you imagine? Prabhupada is traveling the world. He's traveling the world. And he's saying, how many response? Only 3,000. Out of how many? What's the population of the world at that time? I don't know. 3,000. So whenever I hear Prabhupada speak like this, I feel little relief. What are we? Right? What are we? We are doing so much and hardly any outcome. Alright, so thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So we'll complete next week.